you're listening to the Mackay T Show podcast. Here are your hosts, Brian Mackay and T Davis.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.
Welcome back to the Mackay T Show podcast. T, what's going on with you?
You know, I'm out here. Well, I ain't out here because I can't be out. But I'm out here in my mind. Just trying to learn as much as I can. Realizing why and I learned this a little while back, but the more I learn, you know, the scripture, and much knowledge is much grief, and he who keeps his learning increases his sorrow, something to that effect in Ecclesiastes. Yeah, now I know why he said it. Because the more you learn, the more you be like, oh, I'm so sad. This is so bad.
You out there trying to learn.
Trying to learn. Lifelong learning. That should be everybody's goal, to be a lifelong learner. So we won't have so much ignorance in the world, but and illiteracy. If I see another thing somebody don't spell wrong, did I send you the one where it was the food thing outside with the chalk, and it said oxtails, ox was spelled wrong. Some kind of chicken was spelled wrong.
Oh my goodness.
Spare ribs. I don't know what kind of spare. I don't know what spare was. I don't even know that was a word. I was like, what are we doing? And I done told you, we had that whole episode about illiteracy in America. And
yes,
unfortunately, I think it's getting worse.
Yeah, I honestly, and it's been this way for a while, but I feel like it's really ramped up since 2016. People just don't want to look and do their own research on anything anymore. I think they just want to spout what they hear or what they see on, like I spoke about last week, on social media, and nobody wants to go and do their own research. They just think they seen it all and know it all because somebody told them all.
Well, in their defense, America is not the best teacher. Like our educational system is horrid. And social media, I'm pretty positive. The only social media I really deal with is YouTube, and that's just because I watch the videos. I'm not on it, besides what you do. But I do know that they have them set up where you get fed the same kind of stuff so if you listening to ignorance, they just keep feeding you ignorance, basically.
Yeah, they're going to feed you what
and
you
so, right. So you really don't have any opportunity, like, if you're not a lifelong learner and are in pursuit of truth or just knowledge, then this system is not set up for you to even if you wanted to do research. When I was at the University of Mississippi in grad school, one of the things our professor had us to do early on was called reliable knowledge. And so we had to write this huge paper on what was reliable knowledge. Basically, like, you can't be going out here and looking at Wikipedia or WebMD, like, and just thinking that's a reliable source. Like, you had to do some work, dig down, and it was more to it what I'm saying, but we had to learn how to find truth and find what was reliable. And maybe, everything that CDC or whoever puts out, at this point, I don't know that I trust the CDC anymore, but that would be a reliable source. In the past, they would be a reliable source. The World Health Organization, a lot of your government sites, you would get reliable information. But, like you said, 2016, this man came in, they started erasing stuff off of the sites. Like, his son said something that was errant. Instead of them going and saying, no, he was wrong, they went to the site and made what he said right. So it's hard if you're not doing a lot of work to find the truth or something that's reliable, unfortunately.
Well, in that vein, I'd like to start us off today with a little discussion and things I've researched on police brutality.
Okay.
And this is, excuse me, the study I found is between January 1st, 2015, and obviously it ended July 14th, 2020, because that's when they stopped on their count.
Hmm.
And in that time, 1,301 African Americans were killed by police shooting, by police brutality. 2,499 white Americans were killed in that span. And on first glance, you see that, you say, okay, there's more whites. But you have to factor in, as the study does, 60.7% of our country is made up of white Americans
Hmm.
and roughly 14% made up of African Americans, which means that African Americans are shot and killed by police at a rate that's over twice as high as white Americans.
Hmm.
And you can spout that, and people still they'll come at you. Well, what about black on black crime? Or what about uh, the black on white crime? What about those numbers? What about those numbers?
Well, those are people that don't want to know the truth and
Correct.
don't have no, they don't have any, they're not just out here ignorant because of the systems, the way, like I talked about, social media is set up to feed you whatever. They just want to be, they intentionally ignorant,
Yeah, and that's what.
willfully ignorant.
And I'm putting together a blog post. I haven't posted it yet, but you know about it because I let you look at it to help me kind of piecemeal my way through it. And that's a lot of the things that I talk about in it. Because what happened to and this happened literally just maybe 12 hours before we came on air last week. You know, all this had kind of put out there about Jacob Blake and what
Hmm.
happened to him in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Um, that's just a small, just a small speck on what's been kind of a roaring fire going on in the country. And I, I just feel like at this point, if you can't see that there's a problem in that area, you just don't want to. You just want to be ignorant, like you said. You just you're willfully ignorant, and it's a problem. But I mean, I think honestly, I believe, even though it's hard to see that now, I believe it's on the verge of changing, and we'll find out truthfully in November. But
Well, I suspect they still gonna act a fool when, if he lose, there's still gonna be a mess for a year or so, cause he's still gonna spout out he was cheated and
yeah, he's not going to go
there will be
back.
no peaceful transition of power, which I was talking to Chris and all about. So, um, the
No,
ignorance will continue. Um, Biden is really taking on Biden and Miss Harris. They are taking on. You know how you don't want to be the coach that come out to like Pat Head Summit or
right. Got out the
He-
house.
he-
Who?
right now
Yeah,
you coming out to him because he has made such a mess. Like it's so much stuff that has to be repaired
yeah,
that the first 4 years not gonna look like he probably did anything or they, because it's just such a mess.
yeah.
So I know that these are politicians that this is like the creme de la creme being the president, but I was like, y'all can have that. Ain't no way I want to take that job.
We're gonna get more into the actual protesting and thing when we talk about the NBA in a little bit because as far as games, I didn't get to see as many games as I would have liked to this weekend, so I don't have a lot of actual games to talk about.
Well,
Uh,
then they had like 4 or 5 games.
hmm And I
Okay.
saw literally two of them.
Oh, okay. I saw none of them because I don't have.
Well, actually, one and a half. I saw the very last one was played last night between Denver and Utah, which has been a fabulous series.
Who won?
Denver wound up winning last night, tied the series 3-3. So
Lord, they going to game 7.
they're tied, and Houston and Oklahoma City are tied 3-3. They're the only two still left playing in the first round. Everybody else,
So Houston let them come back.
hmm
Lord, I thought for sure. See, I was like, oh, Houston going. Yeah, yeah. Oh well. We waiting for y'all, whoever it is.
Let me see. I think I had that right. My mind just said, "Wait a minute, check."
I
Because
think they play today. It looked like they play today. It's 3-2. The Thunder can tie
yeah,
it up
okay, it's
tonight.
3-2. Yeah. Okay, I thought it was 3-3. It's 3-2. Houston leading. Yeah, yeah. We'll get
Either
it.
way, this going longer than I thought it would. I thought this would be a 4-1 kind of
Houston
deal
won.
or something.
Houston won the other night because Westbrook came back. That's what. Yeah, it was his first game back, and he led them. Yeah, I think about it was raving about how he was playing.
I suspect it didn't help that Schroeder, was his name Schroeder? He
Yeah,
got kicked out for fighting. Oh, rephrase. I don't know if he was fighting. He got ejected.
he
Don't know
got
why.
ejected for a flagrant foul.
Okay, and uh he was one of the people that was at like a scorer for him because you got to be able to put up points. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah, and he said that he's come out and said that it was unintentional and this, that, and the other. I just like that hit on Luca yesterday between him and Marcus.
I still was trying to find it. I ain't seen it. Go ahead.
That boy he got him again. He got him again yesterday, which is the second time in the series that he's had a questionable play on him. And he can say he's going for the ball and all that whatnot. It just didn't look that way.
It look okay. The ankle step, the ankle gate.
The ankle gate, I purely, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that.
Well, I do because I know that how people take steps, and you know how people take steps, and you can see the awkward. I'm going to hop because his next step, if you watch it, I wish somebody would just slow it down. His next step should be with his left foot, but he hops twice, like on the right foot, so that the left foot can take a step and hit on the guy's ankle. You can, I mean, and this is why I wouldn't want uh eyewitness testimony or juries. I don't think they're that effective because it's plenty of people. Not saying that you like you saw what you saw, but I was just like, how are you not seeing that he take this awkward step to step on this man's ankle? Like me, Chris Broussard, I can't think of the other guy that's on First Things First. But I was like, and then another person was like, well, he didn't. I was like, you don't see him take that hop.
You
What
know,
part of like most people don't walk, hop on one leg and then take another step. Anywho,
Nick Wright, is that you talking about?
yes, Nick, right.
Mm.
Speaking of Nick, I have become a fan. I've always liked him and his commentary, and I became more of a fan. I think it was last year or so I found out he was married to a black woman, but then he told this story about how he struggled to. He's not struggling to raise his black son, but when his son called him and is like, hey, me and my friends, we at the Whataburger around here. This lady's accusing us of breaking into her car. And like, we just been sitting in here eating. Should we come home? They don't call the police. And this whole thing. And I was like, bruh, now welcome to being black. And you not black because he a white man, but welcome to the stuff that you just got to work your way through for no reason, but you black. And that's the only reason that you, in one other incident, he was like, the son walking, I don't know if he was at home or going to his friend's neighborhood. He's sworn by like 5 cops. They questioning him, where's your name, where you live, and it was just like he's and this is Nick's word. He's like, he's 18. He don't keep an ID on him. He's not driving. There's nothing that says you have to have identification on you when you walking around the world.
Yeah, unless you just plan on going to a place that needs it, you just out and about. You don't necessarily need it,
And
and when
so
you're that age,
any age, if I decide I want to go from a walk from my house and I don't take any ID, I'm not driving a vehicle. We not in apartheid or something where I need papers.
right?
Like,
And you're years old. You're
yes,
old.
exactly. So come on, man.
I mean, I don't know.
We're gonna have to shout out Larry. We're gonna have to bring him on to tell his story.
Yes,
He
I
had an incident recently, moved into a new neighborhood about 6 months or so ago. Had Popo pull up on them. But
Yeah.
we'll have to have him to tell his story.
Yes. I say
Bruh.
everything that I said to start off that just to say this. To actually to learn to change, you have to have an open mind. And I think that's gonna be my mantra with anyone because that way I don't get my blood pressure raised when folks start, you know, questioning and saying just outrageous stuff.
Right.
It's gonna be my mantra. If you don't have an open mind, you're never gonna change. You're never gonna learn. And that's gonna be my thing. You have to have an open mind to learn and to change. I'm gonna post that on my forehead and just walk around with it. Can you get a tattoo that says all that?
Make sure they spell it right. Cause once
Mm,
they, cause I don't seen some tattoos with the spelled wrong. I was like, Lord, that's stuck on your body forever. And that's spelled wrong. I don't really know what y'all gonna do.
well, speaking of ignorance and unwilling to change, the Republican National Convention was last week. Um, and what I'd like to do in this next segment is just kind of fact check a few things from our illustrious uh, president. I was going to say what I told you before we came on air this morning, but I don't want to start nothing.
Oh Lord.
So anyway, yeah, there's a list I found on a couple different sites, but this one in particular comes from the Washington Post, where they have over 2 dozen instances and statements that he made that were either 100% completely false or partially false. And speaking before I get to him, it was almost 2 full days before anyone even mentioned the virus at the convention, and that came when Melania, his first lady, was speaking the second night, and that was at the very end of the night. So
You think they care about this virus?
they completely ignored that the virus even going on.
He still think it's going away.
Just 15 cases. It'll be gone. It'll be gone in a couple of days. Yes. Anyway, let's just list a couple of these statements. Here is his first statement that they have listed. The United States has among the lowest case fatality rate of any major country in the world, and that's because talking about the virus. And they said this statement is completely false. Case fatality rate measures how many people have gotten the COVID-19, eventually die of COVID-19, and the U.S. rate is currently 3.1%. Johns Hopkins University says that puts the United States 11th among the 20 countries most affected by the disease, and the U.S. ranks fourth for deaths per 100,000 population.
Hmm.
His next statement, which I remember specifically hearing, I've done more for the African American community than any president since Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and they go on to tell you that Lincoln freed the slaves, and you know
The end. Then he got shot. Okay, I'm
when
sorry.
went into the Confederacy, and then Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into law. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's another statement. We will always and we very strongly protect patients with pre-existing conditions, and that is a pledge from our entire Republican Party. I could tell you for a fact that's false because I have a pre-existing condition, and I know how far it's protected.
Right.
Um, yeah, so he basically they're going to say how when he took office, he completely tried to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, and it still, as of this day, has not come up with any kind of replacement plan.
Oh, he was gonna have that. They had that ready, when
Mhm.
2016. We just
Yeah,
gotta. We gonna. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah.
'Cause that's
Oh,
been ready for 4 years and we ain't seen it yet.
and then the last one that I have here, but like I said, if you go to WashingtonPost.com, they've got over 2 dozen. They spied on my campaign and they got caught. He's been touted to Obamagate since before he was even elected, and it just goes on to tell you how false those things actually are. He bases it off of 2 meetings that were had between Obama, Joe Biden, James Comey of the FBI, and just there's no evidence in any one of those meetings that anything was done to spy on his campaign. In fact,
Well, what did Obama was spy on his campaign for? Obama couldn't run again.
there's an instance where a former campaign aide of his was subject to an FBI warrant. Basically making claims in the other direction.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah,
Well, did they mention about him lying about this thing that he did for veterans that Obama signed in
I
2014?
had that one. I had that one pinned as well. That something that Obama had put in the office, had put into
2014 now. He
2014.
talking about, I did this for the veterans. What? Obama signed that just 4-5 years ago. What are you lying? He don't have no problem lying.
No, and that was one of the first things you saw on TV that night. That was one of the first things they brought up after they brought up he's done more for the African American community than anyone besides Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, that was the other thing, the veterans deal. It's just amazing. The rest of them you can read the partial truths and this, that, and the other. The more I read them, the more I was just like, I just kept shaking my head.
Well, I refuse to go down that rabbit hole. He been lying. They had, I think it is up to 60 something thousand, something ridiculous. I was like, I don't know that some people lie that much in their lifetime.
I didn't know, and this is part of my ignorance. I didn't know that there was a campaign out there called Defeat by Tweet. I found out about it through Andrew Yang. He and Sophia Bush, the actress from not Dawson's Creek, what was it? One Tree Hill. She's been in other things as well, but she's mainly known for her role in One Tree Hill. Uh, they were on Instagram Live the other night with each other talking about Defeat by Tweet, which is defeatbytweet.org, I think it is.
Is that
Every
why you give
time,
money for every
yeah,
time he tweet?
yeah, you set a donation amount, and every time he tweets, that donation goes. And literally now that I follow them on Twitter, every time Trump tweets, underneath his tweet is there's a
How
reply
much
from
money?
Defeat by Tweet. Thank you, President Trump. This is how much money you've raised for this tweet or whatever.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I heard that on another show I watched, and I was like, that's brilliant.
Well, let's poorly transition to NBA
Take
play.
a pause for the cause. That's how other podcasts do, Brian. We got to take a pause. We going to a commercial break. We don't, but they actually have commercials.
Right, we don't have commercials.
We don't have no sponsors just yet. And then they'll read something, Blue Pillow or something stupid. Lord, it ain't stupid. Manscaping or something.
My pillow.
Yeah. And then they'll go back to and I'm like, Lord, they got to do their sponsorship.
Oh, you mean Blue Chew?
Yeah.
Blue Chew. No,
Yeah.
we not.
So
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is because most of the time when they be reading they stuff, I don't pay no attention. So half the time I'll be like, okay.
There's a couple of podcasts I listen to that do a really good job of doing uh
They look
doing the
commercials.
advertisements because they make it fun. They make it a joyful, like a big joke while they're
Right.
doing it. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's pretty good because that actually gets people not to fast forward through them.
Right.
You're enjoying it. Anyway, NBA playoffs. For a couple of days last week, we was concerned that there might not be anymore. Uh,
For a couple of seconds.
yeah, and I don't know. There's people out there that just took that and ran with it. Of saying I got texts and from friends saying I'm not gonna watch the NBA anymore. They don't ever mention the WNBA, which WNBA was more out front and doing social justice protests way
Yeah, I
before
thought
the
it was
NBA.
cool how they had the shirts with the bullet holes. There were 7 red spots on the back.
But they actually came into the bubble down there doing things like that, and because they're the lesser brand, and no one ever talks about that. But yeah, but I got a text last week from someone saying that they won't watch the NBA. I never even responded because,
The NBA don't care. They still gonna make their money.
well, my response would have been, and I tried, and that's why I didn't, because I didn't want to become sarcastic, because it wasn't sarcastic. But my response would have been, how much were you actually watching before? Because
Exactly.
I don't feel like this person probably was watching very much of it before. They just saw a protest and they don't agree with the protest, so now they're not gonna watch it.
And then they got these bots. You got to be careful out here, people. You have to be careful because they got these bots, and I don't know who it is. Russia, for all I know, it's 45 people that support him doing it. Somebody had sent me a tweet that somebody did, and up under the tweet, it was something like, "I took a week off to watch the NBA from work. I'm never watching it again." I was like, "That's stupid. Like that don't make sense. Who takes a week off to?" So then I'm watching Roland Martin, and this lady comes on and talking about how, and I was like, that was bot. She was like, you have to watch because it came up a couple of times when somebody had sent me, you know how y'all have sent me, oh, look at what somebody said, and it was something good, but then under it, the
Mm.
reply was something. I was like, somebody taking a week off talking about some. They gonna watch the NBA, maybe during the finals or something, but not now, not no first round. Anyway, so you have to be careful when they start tweeting this. When you seeing tweets, and because people retweet to stuff and don't do again, no kind of fact checking, and so for all they know, some bot don't send them something saying you shouldn't vote or because it don't your vote don't count or something silly, and those are gonna come up if they haven't already.
Well, like you
The
said,
closer we get to November.
people gravitate to what they agree with, and they see something that they see a headline that they agree with, and they, oh, well, let me share this.
And right, and then so you think it's your friend, associate, whatever. Oh, they not gonna send you nothing bad, so then you go with it. Uh, ah. So back to the yes, they took a couple of days off in protest. Well, you finished with that part.
I'm sorry, yeah, they're
Oh,
back, and so uh, yeah, they took a couple days off, and honestly, in my mind, for what they're trying to get done, and what they said since the beginning of them playing down there, what they were, other than just basketball, what they were trying to do, I thought it was a good move because now should they have been more open with each other? I think Milwaukee just kind of playing this and really didn't tell
well,
Orlando.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah,
I don't think Milwaukee planned anything out, and they put everybody else behind the eight ball
right. I think they should
because
have been more open about what they wanted to do. Should have been more inclusive on that because I think they kind of threw a lot of people for a loop.
yeah, Orlando had no idea.
Right.
See, when Toronto and the Celtics talked about doing it, the reports were that they were talks
Yeah.
about.
hmm
Orlando had no idea. They out here warming up, thinking
Sweating,
they're about to play
sweating
a
to be ready.
game,
Right.
and then it's just like, oh, they didn't come out of the locker room. Well, that ain't how you do this because now you've made all these other teams. They didn't have a choice. They may not have wanted to protest like this.
Mhm.
But they didn't have a choice because what does it look like if the Lakers and Portland had gone out to play, or Thunder and Houston had gone out to play their game?
Right.
So Wisconsin, I mean the Bucks, y'all got to do better.
Yeah, and
And some people be like, you can't tell people how to protest when it comes to that kind of situation. Yes, because then you gave the other teams no choice, and they might have backed you on it. They might have been like, well, let's all decide we're not gonna play. And but then you didn't have a demand. Not that we've been told. Were we told anything? The demands came up later on after
right.
LeBron and whoever else got in it, Chris Paul and all that. But I'm just like, when Larry told me, shout out Larry, um, he was like, "Oh, they not playing," and I was like, "What?" He was like, "Oh, Milwaukee didn't take the court," and I was like, "Okay, well, what are they saying they want?" Because usually when you make a demand, you want something.
Mhm.
And so I was like, this is I don't know what we doing. What we doing?
Yeah. Well, I think in the end, after they were able to come together, kind of make a plan that evening, where I think a lot of them kind of got heated with each other over the fact that Milwaukee just kind of decided to do this at the last minute and didn't include the rest of the league. I honestly, like I said earlier, I think it was a good move to because it accomplished what they want to accomplish. Got people talking about it again, and got
People been talking about it. What did they accomplish, Brian?
well. I think that it's getting more. I think that the things were dying off. I think that the talks were dying off on just bringing up the social injustices.
But
And,
Brian, you if you hadn't read the report, Chris Paul and the Players Association, they were planning to do something again after the. From what I read, they were planning like there was a plan, like we're going to do something, but then they jumped the gun and just went with no plan.
yeah, and I thought it was
So I don't think
interesting.
that it was just gonna die off. Um,
Okay, well, I didn't see that part of it. I didn't
yeah,
see the actual plan.
Chris Paul and the Players Association and some other, they was like they had been talks because they've been in a bubble, like, and they knew something was happening. Like they knew the man got shot. Obviously, LeBron and the women in the WNBA, they all had, so they knew. I'm sure they were just trying to figure out what and what demand. Because again, when you do this, you don't just protest and be like, I'm protesting because he got shot. Okay, but what do you want? Like, yeah, we know big picture. Like, when are you gonna come back? We're not gonna play again until. So now, look, I'm sure some other people said this, but LeBron was calling on the owners to do something.
Mhm.
But apparently Wisconsin, I mean Wisconsin, the Bucks, somebody up in they upper tier of wealthy white men made a call to somebody in Wisconsin. I don't know what happened with that call, but I was like, this you're not. I appreciate them speaking out, but I think I want y'all to go and seek out people that do this for a living and ask their opinion. Don't just be in this bubble thinking about what y'all think you should go to the people like Black Lives Matter, call Al Sharpton, Jesse, somebody that has been doing this work and that are, because you are athletes, and that don't mean you can't be an advocate, but they know like how to come up with a plan, how to write out a draft saying this. If we don't do this, then after the fact, you talk to President Barack
Mhm.
Obama. Talk to him before you do this. Then he can give you some direction, some
Right.
guidance. Don't. And so, and again, I'm not just saying shut up and dribble, but I'm saying seek out the professionals. If something happened to your ankle, you ain't gonna go out there and just try to tape it up. You gonna go to somebody that know what they doing.
Well, at the end of the day, by doing what you just said, by speaking and talking to people who have done it before, you are helping yourself because at the end of the day, these people who are against your protest, all they're seeing is you're just an athlete to them. You are
Right.
right. You are nothing but an athlete that you don't know anything. All you can do is play basketball, or all you can do is catch football. All you can do is hit a baseball. And that's what you're dealing with, and you don't necessarily put that away, but you alleviate some of that by speaking out to people who have, professionally done these things that you're trying to do.
And then they don't say, "Oh, that was just a show. Y'all ain't never plan on not playing
Because
because y'all didn't sit out for 2 days."
it's all well and good that the other night when Oklahoma City won and they're interviewing Chris Paul after the game, the woman asked him, the reporter asked him about the game. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk like that, and I didn't mean anything derogatory about that, but
You said the woman asked
the
her about the
woman,
game.
the reporter asked him after the game, wanted to talk about the game, asked him a
Hmm.
question about the game, and he said that's all well and good, but and then he went into this whole, which was a nice little speech talking about what they and how they feel about the Jacob Blake killing and just the other forms of police brutality that's going on in the world. And it was a nice speech. It's on YouTube if anybody want to look it up. It's it was a nice little couple-minute speech. But at the end of the day, people are just hearing that and thinking, okay, stop. You're just a basketball player. And
Well, they wouldn't hear him at all though if they weren't playing. So I didn't. I was like, okay, well, if you don't play, all you're gonna be able to do is tweet about this. You're not gonna be on TNT. You're not gonna be on ESPN. All you gonna if you're not playing, you're gonna be sitting at home tweeting about it, and you might be out in the streets, but you won't get the kind of leverage that you have by getting on these TNT and TBS. I don't even know if TBS still do games,
No.
but ESPN. You see how far you see how much I watch. um,
And I think that's pretty much what President Obama told them when they reached out to him. He basically said, you'll make more headway by being down there in the bubble and playing and continuing to spread your message that way.
Yeah, because LeBron, you got your followers, but I suspect people that follow you, unless they just out there trolling, are people that are in the choir.
Mhm.
So most of your followers are in the choir. So you would not reach any of these other people that like basketball that's not following you and could care less about your life. And I ain't saying you necessarily reach them, but at least you can be an irritant that they be like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing it. So either they stop watching or they just keep hearing it.
Right. Whew. Well, yeah,
Well, my Lakers won and moved on. And we waiting to see who's next. Um, AD, he going this is gonna be a learning series for him because he ain't really played in the playoffs and stuff like that. So this is gonna be a learning series of how to win and fight through adversity. Um, and the Clippers, Marcus Morris may not make it out of the he gonna mess around. How many techs he got? he gonna be able to use all his technical files up and gonna be sitting out some games.
yeah, I don't know if flagrants. I don't know if that counts against your technical foul count, but
They do. They are foul. That's a
so
technical.
yeah, he's stacking them up. We'll have to see where he goes from here.
And I like hard play, but dirty play is different. Like the Lakers, them you knew it was no layup rule. And most of the time they got hit hard, they jumped up like they're gonna fight, it was over. But this stuff where you look like you trying to hurt somebody, it ain't just a hard foul. That's different to me. Yeah.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to add on the NBA before we move on to our last segment?
The NBA. Not really. I don't know. I guess it'll be more interesting when we get to. It look like it's gonna be the Bucks and the Celtics, and I'm just don't broke Toronto off, and the Clippers and the Lakers, and that should be fun. That's when it'll probably get fun to watch.
Well, we're now seeing now that Toronto's up against someone like the Celtics, we're seeing that they miss having someone that they can just get the ball to and know that they can go get a basket.
To
Like
get a basket,
right,
exactly.
they miss that. So I'll let you roll with our
Oh,
last.
it's time for Bible stories.
Since,
All right, welcome to Bible stories,
since
brought to you by the
that was a horrible.
BIB.
Yes,
Bible stories brought to you by the BIBLE. Oh Lord. Okay, people. So we talked to you all about Bible stories, and we want to bring some of this to today's situation and life. And we know that the Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. And if you start looking into this book, you'll find, yeah, that. So we're gonna start with Me Too then. So everybody, well, most people, I ain't gonna say everybody. People that been in the word and in church for a while, they don't heard at least of the David and Bathsheba story. You heard of it, David? I mean, you're not David. You're Brian. Your father's David. You heard of it, Brian?
yes.
David and Bathsheba. So, an overview of the story is David, King David. This King David should have been out at war. Because it says in the first verse, 2 Samuel 11, for those who care to follow, if you care to pull out your Bible. I'm so serious right now, though, while I'm laughing.
Go ahead.
In the spring, when kings marched out to war. So as a king, he should have been out at war. But no, he was at home kicking it, just chilling. And he out taking a stroll on his rooftop of the palace. And what does his eyes behold? Bathsheba. B is out there just, taking her bath, doing her thing. Now, mind you, taking a bath on top of the roof is a normal thing, people. She ain't out here doing nothing special. She's just doing her normal monthly cleanliness or whatever. I don't know how many times they clean, but she just out there taking a bath. What does his eyes behold? So now I know they ain't had no binoculars or nothing. So he just looking at her body and just like, oh man, she bad. Hey, who know who this is? People like, oh, that's Ella Elam's daughter. You the wife of Uriah the Hittite. David don't care. He should have stopped right there. He like, I want her. Can somebody go run over there and tell I want to holler at her? Now, I don't know how this worked, but when the king say go get whatever, they just be like, okay, sir, we're going over. Ma'am, the king wants to see you. And she probably like, okay, what? My husband probably dead. Cause she know her husband out at war. So she probably and now mind you, people, I'm gonna be filling this in with my thoughts on what was going down. This is not in the Bible. But she probably is just like, my husband, he probably finna tell me, my husband dead. She's stressed out. And she gets over there, and what does he say? Let's get it on. Okay. Now, mind you, this is a case of Me Too because there is a power difference. Not only is this adultery, but he is the king. Even if she wants to tell him no, she can, but she will likely be killed. Now, I don't think David was that kind of king, but that's the kind of power he had as the king. If she had said no, she could have been killed. And I'm sure she's like, knows that and is had to contemplate that as this goes on. So some people might be like, oh, challenge me on, oh, this wasn't a sexual assault. And I'm like, okay, it was because she really didn't have a choice. Even if she wanted to say no, she didn't have a choice. Well, besides dying, and nobody wants to die. So, they get it on. And he like, all right, deuces, thank you for your service. And he sent on back to where she was. Okay, so at least a couple of months passed because you don't get pregnant and just the next day be like, I'm pregnant. And that's one of the things that I have to learn, and I have been learning as I've been studying more, that these things are not happening like when we watch a movie or when we watch a soap opera. Like time is passing in between these verses or chapters or whatever. And so I suspect at least a couple of months passed because she has to miss a period or something to suspect that, oh, I'm pregnant. So some time passed. She like, hey, I don't know who she tells, be like, hey, I need to talk to Dave. Like, let him know I'm pregnant. They say with child in the Bible, but let him know I'm pregnant. So David started scrambling like, oh shucks. Then here come the cover up. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. All right, so he called his man in the war and be like, hey, I need y'all to send me Uriah. I need to holler at him. Tell him to come home. All right, so he come home. Uriah's like, all right, look, you done been doing a good job, Uriah, out here. I heard, you've been out here working hard for the people. I'm gonna send you home and here's some food, cause he sent some food with him. In verse 9, he sent a gift of food with him, and like, here, you going home. And he's suspecting, like, men, and then not all men, but men was like, okay, he been away from his wife, he gonna get it on. No, not Uriah. Um, the workaholic. He's like, no, I'm not going home. My brothers are out at war. I'm going to stay by the gate. And I'm like, really, bro? You got an opportunity to go home and be with your wife. Even if you don't have sex, you can go home and see her and just be like, I'm still alive. Because at any moment you at war, you can die and not see her again. So I don't know what this relationship was like. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now. He don't go home.
Mm.
So David is just, I'm sure in David's mind, he is just like, okay, check this out. Okay, he go home, he have sex with her, then he gonna think it's his baby. David, you don't think this man gonna be like, okay, 9 months. Uh, no, I ain't sleep. We wasn't together, but that one time when I was when I had got called home,
He
these
didn't have a
ain't
lot of
adding
faith.
up.
He didn't
Huh?
have a lot of faith in the intelligence of Uriah.
Well, and I'm putting a lot of into this, but in my mind, if we bringing this in today's, most guys be like, "But I wasn't even like I was out at war. Oh, we had sex that one time. How you get pregnant? Who is the baby daddy?" Okay, but anyway, so David. David found out, okay, he didn't go down there be with his wife. So, hey, Rod, hey, Lil, you want to go clubbing? So let me get you drunk, get you liquored up. So he tried to get him liquored up to hope that he'll go home. No, no, sir, not Uriah. Um, he decides, no, I'm not going home to be with my wife. And I'm like, bruh, just go home. Obviously, I know the end of the story, but just go home and be with your wife. So now, David called his man Jacob, the soldier. I don't know what's his rank, but he's like, look, all right, you're gonna have to just set this dude up and let him get killed out here. So
Put him on the front line.
put him on the front lines, and then y'all fall back and let them get killed. So now, obviously, this is all David's fault, but Uriah got some other people killed just because because other people died in that moment when they pulled back. It was him and some other soldiers. It wasn't just him that died. And I'm just like, bro, come on, man. So they pulled back. Uriah gone on to glory. So Bathsheba, she like now she done found out her husband dead. So she been sexually assaulted by the king. She been worried all this time that her husband may not come home from this war anyway. And during those times, you know, you needed to have a husband. Now she could potentially go back to Elam, and I might be saying his name wrong, Elam or whatever is how it's pronounced. But like you needed to have a man for just to live because you couldn't own anything basically. You couldn't inherit stuff like the boys normally inherited things from their fathers and not the girls. So it was important that she had a man in her life. But now her husband dead, she dealing with this sexual assault and whatever emotions that come with having a baby. Okay, so she got sorrow upon sorrow, and then David is like, okay, well, hey, just tell her, look, come on over and be my wife. Now, okay, so maybe that's some relief. Like, okay, now I know I'm gonna be taken care of. This baby gonna be taken care of, and I don't have to worry about that. I'm still sad about my husband, and I'm still dealing with this assault because I didn't necessarily want to sleep with this man, but I ain't had no choice. So now she gets over, and now she in the palace. Now, mind you, in the palace, David got other wives.
Hmm.
Exactly. And so I don't know why something in my spirit leads me to believe that she's younger than David. And so now that he done brought this young, pretty girl over here, a young woman, in,
PYT.
into right, PYT into the palace. And the other wives are like, oh Lord, like who is this? We know, he out here sleeping with whoever, because this probably ain't the first time he don't call somebody off the roof. This is just his first story we don't been told. So the it's drama in the palace because everybody wants their children to be heir to the throne. Like that's a thing.
Right.
So, but her baby don't make it.
Mm.
So now she dealing with the death of her husband. She been sexually assaulted. She in this new space with all the drama that come with that. I'm sure the streets and walls were talking. And now her baby dead. So she just got just sorrows on sorrows on sorrows. It's a lot, right?
Right.
When we think about all the stuff that Bathsheba has to deal with. Um, so the good news though is that while she did have to deal with losing her husband, being assaulted, losing the baby, and then going over and being a wife and getting a side eye from all the other wives, um, because it is important that you have a male child, and because you do have an opportunity to maybe your child can be take the throne when David dies or passes the throne to the next king. She did have Solomon, so she at some point. Well, first let me go back. What's up with the comforting by having sex? Because David comforts her by having sex again. And this time she gets pregnant again. And that's what it was. That's what led me to believe that she was very young and fertile because she was just, they get it on one time and she pregnant. So that's what led me to believe that she was younger than him and that she was very fertile because he comforted her. She was pregnant again, and this baby is going to be Solomon. And ultimately, Solomon will become the next king, and we know his story, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So that's the first Me Too. Any thoughts on that first Me Too incident that we talk about in this?
It's definitely got some elements of the movement in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's open for interpretation, obviously, but yeah.
This is T's interpretation. Did you have another interpretation that you would
No,
like to
no,
share?
no, no, no.
Oh,
I was right there with you. I don't know if my mind just went there because you brought it to me last week in that
mm,
manner, but yeah, the whole authority, like a lot of the Me Too movement, was based on a man that had some type of power over the
yeah.
woman that he assaulted, and you could see that with King David. He was asserting his power, and then Lord have mercy, he went to weaving and wobbling and trying to get out of it, and
Yes. It made it worse and don't kill this man.
and put that man on the front line to be slaughtered.
And what it look like to your soldiers? Because you know they talking. Now they may not find it out till later on, but it's just like, bro, he got us killed or some of our fellow brethren killed because he slept with this man's wife while we out at war fighting and he didn't even come with us. Because again, the first chapter says that this was a time when kings go out to war,
Mhm.
which I might have been reading it wrong or reading it too literal, but it seems to me that he should have been out to war with them,
He should have
but he
been
was not.
on. He should have been in the trenches.
Yes. And so, and we know he a fighter and then that's what like, that's his thing. We'll talk about that next week some, but um yeah. So second Me Too.
Second, Me Too.
Me Too continues. So lust runs in the family. Cause David's nephew, Amnon, he is lusting after his sister Tamar or Tamar. I just pronounce it Tamar because I've always pronounced it, but I've heard somebody pronounce it Tamar. So he lusting after her. This is 2 Samuel, the 13th chapter. This is a couple of chapters later, which could be several years later, obviously, if all this time has passed with the killing of Uriah. She don't got pregnant, all that. So it's a month, a year maybe has passed. But still it happened.
Uh-huh.
Or this could have happened succinctly because these stories could have ran together and they just told in the next chapter. So that's the thing I'm not a Bible scholar. So I don't know if these ran succinctly or how they ran, but anyway, um, Amnon, I'm not really clear why they use. He talked to his friend about all this love he was lusting, but he just was so in love and it was making him sick. He wanted to be with Tamar so bad, and actually they call him his friend, but the guy is his cousin, and I don't think I even wrote down his name, but it's actually his cousin because they say it's David's brother's son,
Uh-huh.
which would make it his cousin. So maybe in the Hebrew word they didn't have a word for cousin, but at any rate, so the good cousin who must be some kind of crafty cat, he talking about what this is what you can do, bro. Do what you do. You go tell your pops you ain't feeling well and you want her to come over and cook for you. And I was like, this dude out here, he probably been out here assaulting people too, cause he came up with this little crafty little plan, way too slick. So he came up with a plan. Amnon was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna act like I'm sick. Tell my daddy, hey, can Tamar come over here and cook for me? And daddy just like, okay. So I'm curious though, like maybe this is a thing, because again, I'm not a Bible scholar, but I'm like, well, his mama couldn't cook. Like, who? Why is he calling his sister to? Nobody questioning like, why you want Tamar to cook? Or you just like she a woman, she don't have no kind of level of respect. Go
I
over
think
there and
that's
cook for
probably what
your
it was.
brother,
That what it
huh?
was. That's what it was. That's why
Go,
nobody questioned it.
go over there and cook for your brother. He's sick. Okay,
That-
well, he probably need a doctor and not somebody to cook for him. But okay, so she goes over there and she cooking and doing her thing in the kitchen. And then He like, well, um, y'all all get out of the house. Now I don't know how big or what kind of spot this was, but he sent everybody out. Y'all get out now. And then, hey, I need you to bring this into the room. Now you can't. Yeah, I know you're sick, but you look like you're able to walk into this little kitchen area and get this bowl of porridge, this stew or whatever she made. So she come bring like, okay, I'll bring it in now. Now I know her spidey senses was like, something ain't right with this, cause you had your intuition, and I know she was like, this, like, why does he want them to leave? Why is he asking them to leave the house? And so here we go. She bring the food in there. Oh, let's get it on. And he say, come lie with me, my sister. And I was like, really, bro? Really? Now, incest was probably a thing that is not like as bad as we feel like it is now, but
Right.
it still is. But bad in today. But she was like, no, like, no, like she clearly said no. Like, I don't want to do this. This is not right to do. Um, and specifically, she says in verse 12, no, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing should be done in Israel. So he don't care. And she tell him, like, this is going to bring shame. And where can I go? Where can I take my shame? He don't care. Because remember, in those times you needed to be a virgin, because if your dad was giving you to somebody, that was part of the deal, like she needs to be a virgin.
They
Well,
had to be clean.
so that is gone because he sexually assaults her, and he obviously ignores her, but he makes it worse. Not only he sexually assaults her, he hates her with the same love that he loved her with. He hates her with the same hate, and like, get out. And she tells him, no, indeed, this evil of sending me away, it'll be worse than the assault. Now, she didn't say the assault, but basically, verse 16, that's what she's saying. So he don't care. He like, get out. Now, unlike, and I'm not victim shaming, and like some people tell right away that it happened to them, whether it's a friend or go to the authorities.
Right.
She's like, somebody finna know that he assaulted me. Now, during that time, the king's virgin daughters wore a colorful garment, and she tore the sleeves, and she put ashes on her head to make sure that they knew she was assaulted. Because when her brother Absalom sees her, he immediately knows, and he says, has Amnon your brother been with you? So he immediately knows. In verse 20, I think it is, he knows that she has been assaulted, because she made sure, like, okay, well, you're not finna just do this to me, and I ain't gonna let it be known.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was just like, Absalom, come on, man, because he's like, hold your peace, don't take this to heart. Really, Absalom? What is she gonna take it to? But that's a guy, and I want them to be more sensitive. But even today, you got guys that be trying to defend these men when stuff come out on these guys. Oh, well, she wanted it, or oh, she was a gold digger, oh, she was after him, oh, she should have. Anyway, he was like, just don't take it to heart. I got you. So, uh, the word get back to David. And what does David do? I'm glad you asked. Nothing. Over 2 years past, David does nothing to address this situation where his child has assaulted another one of his children. Okay, so after 2 years, Absalom like, okay, he come up with a plan. All right, Dad ain't gonna deal with this. I got it. Hey, Dad, we going out with the sheep shearers. Hey, can the brothers come with me? No, why they all need to go? Well, can Amnon come with me? Yeah, go ahead and take him. All right, look, y'all, this Absalom. Look, y'all, I'm gonna get him drunk. When he get drunk, I want y'all to kill him. And that's what happens. They get him drunk. Absalom get a word, have him killed, and he killed. They killed Amnon. Cause I'm sure he running around like, oh, I got away with it, or I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that they were wilding out like this, but it might have been normal. But he thinking he got away with it. His daddy ain't addressed him about it. Absalom never spoke to him about it, neither bad nor good, and that's written in the book. But so he avenges his sister, and I suspect that him and Tamar had a great relationship because he he takes her in from, if my memory serves me correctly, he takes her in because, again, during this time you need either your daddy, some man need to take care of you as a woman, like for you to be able to survive. I mean, I guess you could, you know, do some prostitution, which some women did during that time, but um so he also, in another chapter, I recall him naming one of his daughters Tamar. So I think they had a really good relationship, and it hurt him that the brother don't assaulted him and made her unclean, as you put it, by taking away her virginity. Um, yeah. So it seemed like it's unfortunate, but men have been assaulting women for a while, a long time, and yeah.
No, I never really would have put that together, honestly. Just, I don't know, maybe it's me being a man and not really thinking in that manner. Um, what brought you to seeing it that way and wanting to talk about it?
I don't know which pastor that I was listening to, and they didn't take it as far as I have been taking it, but they just was like Bathsheba really couldn't say no or whatever. And
Mm,
then I was just like, you know what? She couldn't say no, which means this was a sexual assault. And I'm not laughing because a sexual assault is in no way
no, right.
funny. But then it's clear that Tamar was sexually assaulted, and I always wondered when Tony Braxton's when the Braxtons, the whole family thing came out and Tamar became like popular to us and we
Mm-hmm.
knew who she was, and I always was like, why would your mama name you Tamar? Like that was the woman that was sexually assaulted in the Bible. Like why would she name you that? And so like that story is it's clear to see that he assaulted her. And it still sticks to the fact that, like, because a lot of people feel like that don't do this kind of work. And I'm not a sexual assault person, but I work in higher ed, so I know a little more than the average Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know their assailant, like they know the perpetrator who did it. It's not somebody grabbing you out of the bushes or random. Those do occur, but more than not, you know the person or know of them.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. It's more common to actually know.
yeah. So um, I think that I don't know. Did you see the HBO show On the Record, where the young lady that was and I have to say allegedly, not that we're a news show, but that was allegedly assaulted. And I 99.9% believe her.
No, I need to watch that. I know
uh,
what you're talking about. I haven't
she
seen it
talked
yet.
about Russell Simmons.
Mm-hmm. I need.
And when I watch it so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I have to check it out this week.
Cause it's on YouTube. You ain't even gotta have HBO. Cause I
Oh,
came
I got
across
an
it on YouTube.
HBO subscription, so I
Oh,
can.
okay. Yeah, it's called On the Record, and she tell everything. And I was just like, that's Tamar. He got you to go into his bedroom under false pretenses.
Um,
Exactly. And I was just like, this is sad. So next week on
yes, what's on tap? What's
Bible
on tap?
Stories, I think my boss hates me.
Oh gosh.
And we'll talk about Brian is gonna do his homework, y'all.
Yes,
So
I will be ready next week. I apologize to our listeners. I was yeah.
so he can share more of these stories. I
Yeah.
think I hate. Or do you think we should do? We can also do. Uh, Well, no, we'll do this one, and we'll talk about after era. The next one we'll do. I think my boss hates me. And listeners, if y'all have something some Bible story that y'all want us to bring into this context, if I can, tell me the story or which
Yes,
chapters or whatever to read, and I'll go and do some homework and see how this relates to how we are living today.
yes, that's the perfect time. You can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or you can email us at the Mac, the letter N, T show at gmail.com. That's THEMACNTSHOW at gmail.com.
Yeah, so hit us up if you have a story that you would like to move into the 21st century.
Yeah, that was very good, and I promise next week I will be more. I will be ready, so I don't leave T out to dry, even though she did very well um, on her own there. But yes, I will have more to definitely
Yeah,
have.
it's a lot of good stories in the Bible. People that be like, "Oh, it's boring." Well, don't read Leviticus. Yeah, you're gonna fall asleep reading all of that laws and stuff. But
Yes, as soon as
Joseph
I hear
and
any preacher talk
yeah
about Leviticus, I start yawning.
knows. Yeah, you just be like, "What's happening?" My eyes are closing on their own.
Yes. Well,
So thank y'all for listening to Bible stories. The
yes, that was
first,
very good. Very good. Definitely, like I said, I never would have even put that together, but it is the truth, and the truth will set you free.
the truth will make you free. Amen.
And as always, you have to have an open mind to learn and to change. And I am your
Oh
host,
Lord,
Brian Mackay, and I am with,
T. God is good, Davis.
and
But
this,
before, go ahead, say it
no, no,
again.
go ahead.
We failed to give a RIP to
Oh my goodness,
Jackie Robinson.
why you gonna put,
Uh,
how you gonna just call Jackie out?
no. Jackie Robinson.
Thurgood
Uh,
Marshall,
Thurgood Marshall.
T'Challa,
Uh, no, it's one more. It's James Brown
James Brown, and King T'Challa,
and King T'Challa.
Chadwick
Rest in
Boseman.
peace,
Yes,
peace,
I'm glad
and
you did that.
rest in power, my brother.
Yes, and
Uh,
also last week we lost Clifford Robinson, a
and
public
that's what I'm gonna say.
television.
Saturday, then Cliff, the headband. I don't even know if these people gonna know who Clifford Robinson is, but
They
I
can
knew
look him
soon
up.
as I was like, I remember him.
Yes,
Did he play at Syracuse,
he played at Connecticut.
Connecticut? Okay,
Hmm.
I remember him.
Yes,
Um,
and Lute Olson,
Luke
former
didn't
coach of
make it.
Arizona.
He gone
Arizona, he
on to
passed on.
glory.
But yeah,
Uh,
we had
and 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 the man who created one of my favorite cartoons, Scooby Doo Man, went on to glory too.
oh my,
The
I didn't even see him.
yes, the guy that created Scooby Doo.
Yeah, when I went to sleep early Friday, I was exhausted and went to sleep earlier than usual for me. Woke up about 4 a.m. Saturday morning and got on Twitter and saw that all these people were reposting the story about Chadwick Boseman passing, and I went, "That's got to be a hoax. There's no way.
That's what somebody else said.
There has to be a hoax. There's no way that's real." Yeah, and it was, and that just shows you that even in 2020, you can keep things in your circle, and people not everywhere have to know about them because not that many
Nobody knew
people
he had
knew.
cancer. The
No, and
guy that did the producer or the director, excuse me, for Black Panther was like he had no idea. Like nobody knew he had it.
that is something.
And the co-creator, I'm sorry, he didn't create it by himself. Joe Ruby, he co-created Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
And I
well,
wouldn't know if I didn't like Scooby Doo, I wouldn't have it wouldn't have came on my radar. But I do like Scooby Doo.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So rest in peace, people. Um, be grateful for the time you have on earth because like he was 43. Now Joe Ruby was 87. He had his 3 score and 10 plus 10
Mhm.
that we and that's again that go back to the Bible. If you don't know, look it up. But yeah, a lot of the Clifford was what
53. I think he was 53.
so he was young too.
Hmm.
So Luke was old though.
Yeah, Luke was almost. I think he was in his late 80s.
I almost didn't recognize him for a second.
Yeah, he was.
When I saw a picture of him and somebody, I was like, "Oh, he just got older."
Yes, you know it
Because
has.
he always had white hair to my recollection, like since I saw him in Arizona.
And then when he retired, obviously he went to the game still, but you didn't really see him in the public eye. So now you see him this many years later, you're like, oh wow, look at him.
Yeah, so that's the thing. All right, you can end this however you need to, but
yeah, so let's just
rest in peace.
Just say that. And this has been the Mac and T Show. Thank you for listening. You can listen to the Mac and T Show podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, and TuneIn. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Please be sure to follow our show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Mac T Show. That's at TheMacTShow at the Mac T Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to get all the updates and different things that might be happening with our podcast. You can email the show at the Mac letter N T Show at gmail.com. That's the Mac, the letter N T Show at gmail.com.
This is the Mac and T Show. This is the Mac and T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian Mackay and T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mac and T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mac and T Show.